What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast presented by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I am Mitch, and I am one of your hosts, and on this week's episode, Kyle and I welcome our friend and fellow podcaster, Lindsay Wilkins from the Schlock and Awe Podcast. Schlock and Awe is a double feature podcast, so for this episode, we decided to tackle a couple of Lindsay's picks, which was 2 Australian horror films made in Melbourne, where Lindsay resides. So today we will be talking about Body Melt from 1993 and Lake Mungo from 2008. This was a ton of fun, and if you haven't yet, please be sure to give Schlock and Awe a listen. Before we let this week's episode roll, I'd also like to share a few words from this week's sponsors. Direct West is a proud partner of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. Is marketing getting in the way of running your business? Direct West has a local expert team right here in Saskatchewan that will work with you to build your website exactly how you imagine it. Let them help you improve your online presence and head to directwest.com to learn more. Alright, and thanks again as always for listening, and enjoy this week's episode of The Terror Table. And we're back at the Terror Table. I am Mitch, and alongside me as always, you got Kyle. Kyle is back once again. So, what's that? Fool me once, shame on you. What's the saying, Kyle?
I think the saying is, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
I think that's what the saying is.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. Either way, Kyle is back, but Boozy's not here this week. He was feeling under the weather, but it's okay because we have a very special episode planned today. Today, we are joined by our friend Lindsay Wilkins from the Schlock and Awe Podcast, all the way in Melbourne, Australia. How are you doing, Lindsay?
I'm doing really great. Thanks so much for having me, and second Melbourne person, which is even better.
Yeah, that's
right.
Crazy, especially in the same month.
Yeah, no, I'm loving all the Melbourne representation at the moment. It's absolutely amazing to see.
Hell yeah. Yeah, but today we're going to be talking about a double feature. We'll explain more why we're doing a double feature briefly, but we are going to be talking about 2 Australian horror films, Lake Mungo from 2008 and Body Melt from 1993. So the reason we are talking about these 2 films is A, Lindsay is from Australia, and you recommended these films for the episode, and you host a podcast.
I apologize.
And you host a podcast called Schlock and Awe. Can you explain to our listeners what Schlock and Awe is?
Schlock and Awe is a double feature podcast that I sort of started up to be able to talk to people like you and Kyle, or you two, and it's just basically it kind of meant to be like a high and low pairing. So you have like an awe-inspiring movie and a schlocky pairing. I don't do that as often. I think I've broken most of my rules, but it's just usually trying to find 2 movies that maybe don't necessarily on the face of it have a lot in common, but when you actually watch them side by side, you realize that they share all these little intertwining little things. And so it's been a whole bunch of fun to do.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know this already. I've said it numerous times, but I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a listener, and I've been enjoying it every single week. And I was even on the show a couple of weeks ago where we talked about Cherry Falls and Pleasantville.
Yes, beautiful. We did.
Beautiful.
No, coming from you, that means a lot. Thanks, Mitch. But no, yeah, we had a Cherry Falls, Pleasantville extravaganza, and it was a shit ton of fun.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. But Kyle, are you a Pleasantville stan?
Oh, I fuck hard with Pleasant Hill. Great film.
Yeah, who's your favorite character?
I like Tobey Maguire mostly because what's his name in that movie again?
Oh God, I can't even remember.
I can't remember that.
I like Tobey in that film because he's kind of a jackass, but in a way that I enjoy.
Yeah, I thought you'd like Paul Walker in that because he audibly gets an erection in that film and announces it.
I'm more of a running scared Paul Walker kind of guy.
There's been a lot of running scared talk on Twitter recently.
Maybe I take that back. Maybe I take that back. I don't know the context.
No, people. There's some newfound love coming out about running scared recently, which is cool to see. That's a movie that I loved when it came out. Last time I watched,
I haven't seen it in like 15 years, but I did.
Oh God, last time I watched it. Yeah,
okay.
The last time I watched it, I think it was like right when quarantine hit, so I was like not in the right mindset, and it was just too much. It's such a crazy movie.
No, I showed my partner this movie in quarantine because we just finding something to watch, and then the first 5 minutes started. I'm like, oh crap, I remember this. Not sure how he would take what is about to happen in this movie very well, but he loved it. It was such a yay. I love Running Scared. It is such an underrated movie. So I was happy to see all the love for it, especially some of the stuff that happens in this movie. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's the thing that surprised me most. Shout out Matt Bledsoe at the Film Feast podcast. Listening to him and Daniel talk about it, I was like, for sure Daniel's going to hate this movie. But he just fucking loved it, which is awesome. But yeah, let's talk about the movies that we're here to talk about today. So Lindsay, you are on a horror movie podcast, and
Yes,
this is a rhetorical question for me, but are you a horror fan?
Oh, yes, absolutely. A newish horror fan. Like, I didn't really get into it into my late teens and 20s. But no, I love horror. Absolutely love it. The more I watch it, the more I need more of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's the kind of stuff that you gravitate towards, or do you have like a first memory with the genre?
My first memory of it is Jaws when I was about 3 or 4.
Yes.
And it just playing on TV and me seeing this thing and just it traumatized me, I think, to the point where I would run out of the room every time I heard that Williams score. So what my older sister and older brother used to do is they taped it on a tape deck. So every time, because they're a little bit older than me, so every single time I annoyed them, or was just being a 3 or 4 year old, they'd play that score and I would just bolt from the room. There was no way I was letting that shark get me.
Yeah. Oh God, that's awesome. So so Jaws, that's clearly, I don't know if I think you have probably heard by now because you listen to the show and everything, but that's my favorite movie of all time. And
yes.
That was like my first experience as well. So like, where did you go from that? Like, what's the kind of stuff that excites you nowadays?
All kinds of stuff. Like, this the kind of the weirder the better. Like, I love Nightmare Logic. Like, Suspiria is one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
Just because you were just in this completely different world, and it's all about the texture and everything else. I'm a sucker for any kind of ghost story. I don't know, stuck in a house where weird things are happening. Speaking of the movie we're coming up with, I just tend to absolutely love. I remember really getting into it with Scream, just because I was the perfect age when that movie came out. I was about 16, and that movie just blew my mind because I love mysteries and noirs and procedurals and all that kind of stuff. So to have, I didn't realize slashers could be, even though now I know that's the staple of the slasher genre, but to have like a whodunit in there, just that first scene with Drew Barrymore on the phone just completely blew my mind. But yeah, no, I love all kind of weird things. Like I love Italian. I'm been getting into Japanese horror at the moment, because that's some fucked up stuff that you'll never see anywhere else. And that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll take whatever I can get, but I definitely, anything creature like Jaws, ghosts, kind of everything like that, I absolutely love.
So yeah, you were mentioning like you're a big fan of like the Dario Argento Suspiria?
Oh yes, Dario Argento. Though I do like the remake just because it's so different from the original, but the 1977, I love that movie so much.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen the original one. I really got to go back to it. I love that the remake so much that it's kind of like more imprinted in my brain now at this point, unfortunately. So, well, maybe not unfortunately, but
it's just such a Kyle movie too, though.
It really is. It's just like they like made that for me. I was
it's always a nice feeling when it happens.
I was in the theater just dying. I was like, man, I might sit for another 3 hours and watch it again. Like, let's roll the tape.
Yeah, like you gave it 5 stars if I remember on Letterboxd.
I think so. Maybe 4.5. I don't know. I'm a little flaky on the box.
I think it was 5, which would be 2 stars more than White Chicks, which you just watched on Letterboxd.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
I did just watch White Chicks for the first time. I don't know if you want to get into that. There's a lot to unpack there, actually. But
well, Lindsay, do you want to talk about some horror movies? Like we can just kind of have a round table?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Been looking forward to this.
Lindsay, I'm taking a look at the Schlock and Awe Twitter right now. And I got to say, I'm stoked on this double feature of Long Shot, Seth Rogen's Long Shot, and Election.
I saw that too. I love that.
That's something else. I'm going to peep that. That sounds great.
Election's amazing.
Election is amazing.
Yeah, it came out, and I forgot. Then I rewatched it recently, and I completely forgot how fucked up that movie is. Like, I forgot all the sexual shenanigans that were going on.
Yeah, that was my dark horse. My dark horse win of the '90s and fantasy Oscars. I nominated Election, and both of them were like, "Fuck, I forgot about Election," and it ended up winning.
That's right. I was so happy when that won because I was like, going, "Yeah!"
Yeah, it's my favorite pain movie.
Election is essential viewing. You got.
Except for I watched that with my parents when it first came out, and that is not essential viewing. Do not recommend. 10 out of 10.
Oh no, that sounds like my family. Like my dad would just go, "Hey, we're going to watch Boogie Nights tonight." I'm like, "Dad, it's Christmas Day. Nana's here. You're serious?"
Yeah. God, that's my family too.
It's a movie with Mark Wahlberg where he's like a rock star.
Rock star.
Is it just called Rockstar?
Yeah, he does call himself a rock star multiple times. Yes.
No, but Kyle's talking about there's the actual movie Rockstar.
Oh shit! I forgot about that movie.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I knew it was called something like that. That was not a good. I mean, that sticks out in my brain as like a bad like parent watch. I don't know exactly why, but
I saw it in the drive-in theater with my dad. So and not great. But that was the worst when I would tell kids that my favorite movie is Almost Famous, and everyone would be like, "I don't like Mark Wahlberg." I'm like, fuck, it's not the same movie. Damn it,
roasted.
Like,
I openly don't like Mark Wahlberg now. But that's besides the point. All right, should we get into some films here?
Yeah, let's hear about White Chicks.
Yeah, Okay, to be honest, I just never saw White Chicks just because it's one of those films where I feel like I knew everything about it before I had seen it. It's just one of those. I can report now that in 2021, I would say half of White Chicks really holds up and the other half does not. And I think that's all that needs to be said.
That's it, eh?
I'm gonna leave it at that. Terry Crews kills it. That might be his performance of his career, whether any of us want to deny it or not.
He's good in so many. He's good in the Friday movies.
You can't tell me he's not amazing in that, though.
Well, I think
White Chicks.
It's been a very long time since I've seen White Chicks, and I've had no desire to watch it again.
It was a weird one, but
I'm
also very
not a
much,
psycho.
very much up my alley.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a real one for you.
You don't want to let our guest have the next one? Jesus Christ, Kyle.
I didn't know if White Chicks counted. I'm not really trying to talk about White Chicks too much. But sure, Lindsay, please go ahead. Please.
Okay, I'm gonna go with after rewatching the Night Comes for Us, I went on a Timo, I'm gonna butcher his name, Tangento kick. So I'm gonna talk about the May the Devil Take You.
I still haven't seen this one.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of a pretty stock standard possession movie, but I just really like the way the guy directs. So it's just a really sort of fun. Dad has a curse pretty much on him, and daughter has to figure out what exactly is happening with some really nice sort of ghost kind of stuff. But this was just kind of up my alley, haunted possession kind of movie. So no, it was definitely a cool movie.
Awesome. Yeah, I see it that because I think that's on Shudder. And May the Devil Take You 2.
2. Yes, I like that. 2.
Have you seen that one as well?
No, not yet. It's on my watch list, and especially onto Shudder. I was going to watch just a couple of horror movies like that one before I recorded, but then I got called into work yesterday. So all my plans were torn asunder.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
That already sounds great to me, because that's falling in line with Step Up to the Streets. That's good name. That's good titling right there.
Exactly. See, you could absolutely pair those two. Those are absolutely fantastic.
Now that's a double feature right there.
Yeah, it is. Right. Yeah, it really is.
Awesome. Well, speaking of double features, I'll split these up, but I watched 2 double features recently by accident, and I decided to save one of them for this episode since we have Lindsay here. But I watched The Neon Demon for the first time, and I paired it by accident with Mulholland Drive by David Lynch.
That is a really amazing pairing. I saw you watch that, and I was like, that's good.
Kind of unreal how, like, I wasn't even thinking about how they have so much in common, like, or at least there are some, like, very common threads in it, but I'm going to go with The Neon Demon first. So I'm assuming both of you guys have seen this one. I know Kyle has.
Oh, I've definitely seen this one.
Have you seen it, Lindsay?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah. So like when this one came out, I was going through some shit. I was nowhere near the right mindset for a Nicolas Winding Refn movie at that time.
No, you have to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, especially in like this was like the post-Drive phase of his career where he was just like essentially trying to make movies that mainstream audiences would hate. And like, I don't know, I think he was just pissed off because James Franco also started wearing a scarf. So he needed to bump up his hipster cred and just make movies that were very difficult to watch.
Refn's all about the power blanket, though. Do you guys know about the power blanket?
Explain. Was this touched on in the documentary about his life?
It definitely is, which is well, maybe not great. But
That's what made me hate him.
It's worth watching.
I want to noogie him so bad. That's a guy who was not bullied enough.
That's true. I don't know if it's in the
No,
doc.
he
I can't
wasn't.
remember. But the power blanket is that he wears this blanket around his, or it's more of like a, what are they called? What's like Linus's blanket? A blanket? I don't know. It's like a little handkerchief blanket thing that goes around his stomach, and he wears it while he's on set directing because it gives him power, and he needs to wear it.
Oh my
That
god!
is
Okay.
Definitely a man who directed Only God Knows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Only God forgive. Oh fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Only God Forgives. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely correct.
With the half an hour karaoke scene. That's the thing though, is as much as like I'm making fun of him and everything, and he is for sure up his own ass.
Oh,
I like his shit, and I like this movie a lot. I really, really dug the Neon Demon, and like, because that's the thing is like I didn't watch it when it first came out because so many people that I knew were talking about how it's like actually unwatchable, and I was like,
Ooh.
yeah, I just oh man, but they were all people who I thought back to it, and these are all people who also hated movies like Funny Games and Under the Skin. So like, of course,
Okay. That's right.
you know, like. It's not that these are the types of movies that definitely are not for everybody, and like
fair.
I can understand not liking this kind of stuff, but I don't know, man. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I really, really liked it, and I just think that like Refn, he's so like, to me, this is him almost at his best. Like, obviously Drive's him at his best, but this is, as far as him becoming like full on hipster douche, he's still like, he's straddling a line where it works so well. And like all the actors in this movie just committed, and they were great. Like I normally am not a fan of Jenna Malone, but she like stole this movie. She was so good. Her and Elle Fanning. Like I don't think I've seen Elle Fanning in a lot of things, but I thought she was so good in it.
She was really like popping off that like 2016, 2017. She was in so much stuff around that time. And it was a perfect time for her to be in a film like that because it kind of gave her some more, I don't know, I guess like indie cred, or I suppose art house cred.
Well, it's a very mature role.
That's
and
true.
she was only 16 in it, so
right, which thematically makes sense.
which makes perfect sense. But at the same time, when that scene where I won't say what Jenna Malone is actually doing, but when she's fantasizing about Elle Fanning, it's this really disturbing scene because you're watching it going, she's 16.
Oh
yeah.
Oh my god,
which is completely on purpose, but it's I love this movie. I was so excited that because I wanted to show people, and it was the wrong movie to show people because I actually showed a friend because I can't remember what she liked that I was surprised by, but anyway, watch Neon Demon. I got this text going, what the hell is wrong with you?
oh god, yeah, no, these are those like those ones that you don't want to recommend to the crowd that you'll recommend like The Conjuring to, you know?
Oh no, it's not really like in that same vein. In fact, that's
no disrespect to either end. I love both of those movies, but
of course not. No, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I never would have I don't really consider Neon Demon, like now I would, but even probably when I first saw it, I wouldn't really consider it like a strict horror film. I think now that we're kind of a post A24 era, it's definitely fits itself in like.
I remember that's historically proven on the Terror Table that I had to tell you that you were a horror fan because you thought that you thought you didn't like horror movies, but it's like, dude, all of your favorite movies are horror. Like Under the Skin is a horror movie.
Well, it's just that whatever.
It's because you think that you're more elevated and you're more above horror, that you look down on it, and that's why you come on the shows because you just want to bring us down.
Well, my craft vials of my own farts do smell great, so I make sure that is just part of my regimen. You know, I don't want to forget it. But now, Neon Demon, though, in all seriousness, is a banger. I love this movie. It's I was so excited when this movie was coming out. It was like my most anticipated film of that year. And it held up. I look back on it fondly.
Yeah, and like I forgot about the Keanu Reeves thing.
Oh, I think that's what my friend was most upset by.
Oh, it is, yeah. Well, there's some uncomfortable stuff in there for sure, like without a doubt. I mean, you already alluded to something, Lindsay, but
yes,
yeah,
you'll know when you get there.
Yeah. Also, if you guys take a look, I think it's what it's called. Oh yeah, Katy Perry's 2017 album Witness. Look at that album cover when you have a second. Very Neon Demon-esque.
I'll take a look,
please.
Me too.
But yeah, so that's my review of the Neon Demon. Big fan. Looking forward to checking it out again someday.
I've seen the movie multiple times. It's an incredible movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we will return to my double feature of Mulholland Drive after we go around the circle, go around the table here. Kyle, what else you seen?
Okay, well, or you could talk about Mulholland Drive now if you want. Do they compare and contrast, or do you want to, or should we go around? What do you think?
Well, I'll just be quick about Mulholland Drive then, if that's the case, because that's a movie that you could talk about for an hour.
Yeah,
so I'm going to do my best to not do that. But yeah, this was the first rewatch of Mulholland Drive
I
since.
thought you were going to say first time, and I was genuinely so shocked.
Yeah, no, I had seen this before, but it was a long time ago, and I was at an age where I couldn't fully appreciate David Lynch yet, I believe. Because Twin Peaks was really where I got like super into David Lynch, and now I like every single thing that he does. But yeah, Mulholland Drive, this was I was not feeling well after I'd gotten the shot. So I was at home in bed, and I was kind of in like that dazed phase, and I was just super tired and like, oh, I am in the perfect place to watch a David Lynch movie. So I did. And yeah, like, I don't know, Lynch's fairy tale, like neo-noir aesthetic is just very much my jam. I love it. Like this movie, I know it actually was supposed to be a Twin Peaks movie, and it totally feels like that. Like it feels like it could be in the same world and everything.
I think at some point it was supposed to be a television series as well. Like I know that for a fact because at one point it was on YouTube. I think it's taken down now, but the television cut exists out there somewhere.
Yep. No, that's true. Yeah, I read about that afterwards as well. Because, yeah, okay, so it's just like it feels like a Twin Peaks movie to me. And Lynch's films always just give me anxiety, but in different ways. But I think, like, have both of you guys seen Firewalk with Me?
I've actually never seen Firewalk with Me.
No, I need to. I have a weird relationship with Lynch where I love him, but he makes me so uncomfortable and awkward, like you were saying before.
Oh, my God.
That there are certain movies that I just am like, I need to be in a mood to watch a Lynch film to actually be able to sit down and go, right, let's do this.
Yeah, and to appreciate it and everything. Well, with that being said, Lindsay, like, and I know this could be sacrilege to a lot of Lynch fans, but to me, Firewalk with Me, it could give me a heart attack someday. Like it makes me so uncomfortable. That movie gives me anxiety in ways that no other movie is comparable to it. And it's just like, you know, obviously you should see Twin Peaks before you go into Firewalk with Me, but goddamn, that movie is nuts. And I feel like, what's that?
So I was just saying, my first experience with Mulholland Drive was the exact same thing. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is like it is super intense, but I feel like Mulholland Drive, as opposed to like other stuff like Firewalk with Me, is it just kind of seems like it's more focused on the mystery and like the unconventional storytelling. But the thing is, like, that storytelling makes you anxious in and of itself. Like, everything about his style is just, like, it gets you on edge, but it's also just so cool. I don't know. I'm trying to explain that noir coolness.
It's been a while since I've seen Mulholland Drive too, but I feel like, at least how I remember it, I always felt that it was a little bit more digestible than some of his other, like, feature films.
I think it absolutely is.
Yeah, which is a good place to start, maybe, if, like, I don't know. You don't want to watch Twin Peaks for
go to
reason.
Eraserhead.
I guess. I mean, I guess
you gotta do. Heart attack and go.
You gotta do the homework first, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. But no, I love Mulholland Drive, and on this rewatch, it went up in my books in terms of favorite Lynch movies. Like, I think Blue Velvet's still at the top there, but
that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's moving up there. Mulholland Drive is so good. So Lindsay, do you want to knock one off?
Oh, isn't Kyle next, or?
Well, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Kyle, did you watch anything else, or was it just White Chicks?
I watched something else, Mitch.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm excited.
And you knew about it too, and you forgot. I don't really know what to think.
Oh,
right
wait. Okay, yeah, right. Sorry.
Lindsay, you need to have it known right now that Mitch is disrespecting me in front of an entire audience. And
I can tell. I can feel your pain. It's
I need Boozy here to beat up on you.
At least someone knows. At least someone knows.
I'm on your side, Kyle. It's okay.
Okay, we need that in writing. All right, so I did watch a film. It's one I've been meaning to watch. I guess I don't even know. This movie's been in circulation for a long ass time, but obviously it's a bit more accessible right now. And that is Saint Maude. Have you guys? I know Mitch, you've seen this one. Have you seen this one?
Yes, I have seen Saint Maude.
Okay, awesome. So I don't really know exactly how you feel about this film, but for me, I went into it. I guess I wouldn't say my expectations were lukewarm because I definitely had heard good things, but truthfully, like just on like the teaser trailer I saw like over a year ago, I wasn't like totally sure what to expect. It seemed sort of like, I don't know, kind of this potentially, how do I put this nicely? We're getting a lot of A24 films, so I'm starting to get worried that maybe a lot of them are similar. I'm happy to report that I found this one to be one that actually really sticks out of the crowd and shines in a lot of ways. I totally fucking dug Saint Maude. It took me for a ride because like the general atmosphere of this film really captivated me, like from the get-go, essentially, because it has this really cool look and feel to it where it feels maybe vintage or from a different era, but it's completely contemporary. And that to me is something that is like really, really hard to accomplish. So the production design in this film is top fucking notch. Like really,
I knew
really,
you'd be jizzing everywhere over that production design. That's such Kyle porn.
It's good. It's good that it's not
like oh, shag carpet. Oh.
Well, in that regard, it's great because it's not really like in your face about it. It's just really well executed. Like it's not like, I don't know.
It's not the
like,
focal point.
It's not the focal point. It's not flashing like a big like, oh, look at me type design. But for me, that was what immediately caught my attention. And the score is fucking great.
The score
it's like,
is so good.
It's kind of like this. It's minimal when it needs to be, and then it's like really engaging when it like has to be. And it, I don't know. I love a score like that clearly like takes the time to know like what mood the film is trying to come across with, and then also sort of like playing into the audience, not necessarily their expectations, but maybe like what they could be feeling and not how they should be feeling, which is great. Maude is a badass, a straight badass.
He really is.
Like I don't really want to go into spoilers, obviously, in this because it's somewhat spoiler heavy. But I generally really enjoyed how this film dealt with, I guess, faith, obviously, but also obsession, possession in multiple different ways, and depressive episodes. I think like a film like this tackles, issues that we do see some representation in film more than we used to, but I think it tackles it in a really interesting way, especially in the horror that it provides. I was talking to Mitch about this a little bit earlier about just how I absolutely love this ending of the film, and I won't obviously say what happens, but for me, that's kind of what cemented it, because like there's parts of this film that are really realistic and kind of like rooted in sort of, I don't know, theology and religion and things that like, are very cemented in our real world. But then there's obviously things, that are more fictional. So
supernatural.
And they work
it's really so rank.
Well. They work really well together.
Dude,
my biggest gripe with the film, though, and I need to make this known, I think this is maybe one of my biggest pet peeves in films right now, guys. Okay? There's a scene where, one of the opening scenes, it's not a spoiler, where there's a red substance bubbling. Now, I thought this substance was blood. It turned out to be tomato soup, and I almost turned it off because it pissed me off so much. I hate that. I hate that shit. Why's it got to be tomato soup?
Oh, man, you
like,
hate
why?
when it'll cut to something else, like someone painting, but it'll be a blood spatter.
Yeah, bullshit. I hated that. Like, I was like, okay, here we go. We got blood boiling on the like fucking first scene. Like, now I'm in for something here. Tomato soup. Not into it. Honestly, not that funny. Do better.
That is such a nerdy thing to be mad about. Oh my god.
I hated it. Really hated
I
it.
love it.
Honestly, but all jokes aside, I mean, I'm not joking. It did fucking piss me off, but not enough for me to like hinder the experience because this movie is great. I just needed to point that out because I was actually like, I was making notes for this.
Excited to see that in your next film.
I was making notes for like this film, and I had nothing really bad to say, so I was like, hey, what pissed me off the most, and it was definitely the tomato soup.
That's awesome, man. Because so when this one was coming out, like, because I didn't see it until I believe it was just like about 2 months ago. Right, But this was one that was like, I think some people saw it before COVID happened.
It was playing festivals like in end of 2019, early 2020.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because I remember, because like like the festival committee had already seen it when we were doing our festival.
Right.
Just crazy. But I had heard so many people say, it's not a horror film, but it's good. Like, it's really good. And then I watched it. Then I watched it. I'm like, what? How is this not a horror movie? Like, it blows my mind how people can like kind of, it's like it's a shameful thing to call this type of movie a horror movie. It's like there's some wild shit in Saint Maude, and so far it's my favorite horror movie of the year.
No, it's absolutely a horror movie. It's kind of weird. I heard that as well because I was meant to see it just before the pandemic hit, and then I didn't.
Oh, really?
And then this had a lot of hype, which I don't think it quite lived up to for me. But my hype had spent a year bubbling like that tomato soup, just going full thing. And then I heard it's like, oh, it's not a horror movie, and then I watched it and went, no, this is a horror movie. This is an angels and demons thing, and I love how it's even if you think it's all Maude, there are some moments where you're just like going, Jesus Christ, that's a contortion and a half.
Exactly. Gnarly horror. Real
absolutely,
horror.
it is real horror. And so I'm always sort of was blown away by when sort of people sort of go, oh, like when Mitch, you were saying before, when you get to inform Kyle, no, he's a horror guy. It's because, no, there's a certain section of movies that are absolute horror movies that people will go, no, that's not horror. It's like, no, it's pretty horrific. What's happening? So it's
and that's the thing is, it's like as much as like Kyle, I will take any chance I can to show you disrespect on this show.
Of course, yeah.
But the thing is, like, it actually isn't even a disrespect thing. It's just like did you think Funny Games was a horror movie? It's just that you hung with a different crowd, you read different websites.
Honestly, not really. If I'm being honest, no, I never really considered Funny Games like I don't know what genre.
To me.
I don't know what genre I would consider it like.
Straight up horror.
But at the same time, like I wouldn't. If someone said like, "Oh, what's your favorite horror movie?" Like Funny Games wouldn't come to mind because I just wouldn't immediately
say Stay
think
Alive.
That. I would probably say Stay Alive.
Piece of shit.
Or
man, that makes me so happy that you liked it because that's one. Yeah, so far that's the movie that stood out to me the most this year, and it's like. Yeah. I was thinking about it like days and weeks afterwards. Like I remember I would text Boozy and be like, because he saw it before I did. And God damn, St. Maud fucked. Like, that was
definitely
such a badass.
Well, I'll put it this way. Like I also watched The Father like the day before I watched.
I still want to see that.
And that movie will just rip your heart out, step it up, like just totally pummel it to shreds, bring you back to life and kill you again. And St. Maud parts of it were just as shocking. So it definitely, like, I had a bit of a traumatic two-day viewing experience there.
Do you need a hug? Because The Father I didn't know what I was walking into with that movie. And then when I realized
oh my God,
it should be a horror movie. That should be a horror movie. I don't know why it's got Olivia Colman smiling sweetly on the poster.
Lindsay, be honest. Be honest with me. Did you cry in that last 20 minutes? Because I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Just insane.
It's heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I guess
I have something to confess too.
Okay. Yeah, let's confess. Yep.
I hadn't seen The Favorite until after we did our episode.
What?
Speaking about Olivia Colman.
Oh man.
And man, oh God, it's so good.
That's like
at least you came to it. At least you finally came to The Favorite.
But it's weird though. It's because I don't
know. It's a weird Yorgos film in a way, right? Like it's
that's why I've heard a lot of people say that's their favorite of his. No pun intended. But the thing is, it's amazing. But it's his writing. Like actually, I watched The Lobster again, and that I was like, oh my God, man! Every time I watch The Lobster, it gets better.
He didn't write The Favorite. I think it's one of his only films he hasn't written.
Exactly. That's the difference, though. Like that's why I think Killing of a Sacred Deer is still my favorite, and then, oh God, it'd be so tough. I love all of his movies. Like it's so exciting to have someone like that to just gush over.
Mm.
We're very lucky in that regard.
So hopefully he doesn't reveal himself to be a monster.
Only time will tell. On that note, I will say definitely check out St. Maud. I think there's absolutely parts of this film that I think will be some of the scariest things you'll see this year. And for me, honestly, I've been a bit dry with watching films lately. I'm desperately catching up right now. But this is probably my favorite movie of the year so far, for sure.
Hell yeah, brother.
Movie in general, I need to clarify.
Lindsay, you want to tell us about another one?
Yes. Now that I've heard what you guys have been doing, I feel this is a safe space to mention that I watched a movie from 1974 called The Night Porter, which isn't classified as a horror movie, but goddamn, is it a horror movie? It is an Italian movie starring Charlotte Rampling, a very young and very naked Charlotte Rampling, and Dirk Bogarde. It is essentially about this ex-Nazi who's kind of been labeled to live under the radar, comes into contact with Charlotte Rampling, a survivor essentially of his, and they kind of both regress back into this this abusive sexual relationship that he had inflicted on her in the concentration camps. You get these weird flashbacks, and it's this such a dark. It's kind of like how Germany and Austria were trying to get over their PTSD of what happened during the war. And it is such a dark movie that, even when I'm explaining it, I'm like going, maybe I should have brought this movie up. But Jesus, it is incredible.
This sounds wild.
It's so goddamn wild. I mean, there's a fantasy scene with Charlotte Rampling, no top on, wearing a Nazi uniform without the top, singing a Marlene Dietrich song.
Oh, God, thank God Boozy's not here, because I know that's a kink for him.
Well, also, it needs to be known that I think about 30 seconds ago, Lindsay declared the Terror Table a safe space. That needs to be known.
Well, that's and from a female, no less. That's got to mean something for
We got to
cred.
take every stride we could take.
Yeah, thank God. Thank you
but
so much, Lindsay. Hey, quick question, though. What's this movie called again?
The Night Porter. Dirk Book literally plays a night porter in a hotel that you find out holds a collection of ex-Nazis pretending that they are still on top of their social kind of scale that they were back during the regime, but now are hiding in a hotel. It's such a strange, amazing movie, dark, and
I found it.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
It is really, really good. But yeah, it does take a warning. There are some very specific kinks in here that Boozy may enjoy, but not anyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. No, I've never heard of this, but it looks very interesting.
Yeah.
And Charlotte Rampling, like, she's so good, and it was just so sad that she had to be disrespected by being in the last few seasons of Dexter.
Also,
this is true. Yes.
I don't really know the whole story, but Charlotte Rampling, I think, is she's got some questionable takes as well. I think, unfortunately.
She does. She has some
Wait, yeah, I forgot about that. That is her.
Well, we'll get away from that maybe, but what did you?
I'm going to
recommend
go
this
with Kyle
film?
and say I'm going to go hard no comment.
That's hard no comment.
So what was that, Kyle?
I was just gonna ask Lindsay, would you, beyond sort of like the, I don't know, potentially triggering and dramatic aspects of the film, would you recommend this? Like, should I peep game? What's going on?
Oh
here?
yeah, definitely recommend it. If you are very much triggered by sexual assault, I would maybe stay away from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But if otherwise, I absolutely would, because it is this fascinating, and it is directed by a woman, Ivan Kavanaugh, who also wrote it. It is this fascinating look at a country trying to deal with its PTSD. And Dirk Bogarde makes this movie. I don't know if this would work without him, because he's this undefinable character. You never quite know what his motivations are, or how he feels about his past, or if this is a way, him going back into Charlotte Rampling's life is a way of him not dealing with any of the ramifications of his actions or anything like that. It is, you can interpret this movie about 16 different ways, much like Neon Demon. Yeah.
Awesome. I added it to my watch list.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this. This looks really challenging.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if it's on Tubi.
Well, I probably won't watch it then.
Lindsay, do you guys have Tubi over there?
We do. The blessing that is Tubi.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm just annoyed. I'm
Do you
annoyed.
still not have Tubi?
Well, I have it, but I always forget about it.
God, you're so dumb. And one of these, Body Melt's on Tubi.
It is,
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna knock another one off if that's cool with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm talking about it's a 2021 film that came out, I believe it was a few months ago. Sorry, I don't have the date on me here, but it is Sun from 2021, directed by Ivan Kavanaugh. Have you guys heard of this film?
I thought this was A Sun for a second, which
No.
But
I'm
not familiar with this one.
I think I have heard of it, but only briefly and in passing. So
Yeah. So it's starring Andy Matichuk, I believe that's her name. She plays Allison, the daughter in Halloween 2018. So she's she's like Judy Greer's daughter in that film. But so she's from Halloween. We also have Emil Hirsch, who's from Cancelled in 2018. Then we have Luke David Blum, who's the son. But yeah, this movie. What's that?
I thought you. Never mind. I misheard his last name, but I thought you were going to say he's the son of Jason Blum.
No, I had to look for that though. I had to look.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but the synopsis for this one is: when a young boy contracts a mysterious illness, his mother must decide how far she will go to protect him from terrifying forces in her past. This movie, it has elements pulling from The Omen, Rosemary's Baby, and The Exorcist. It's just like a really heavy, dark material movie. The thing's like it's very well acted and photographed. Like, I think that some of the sequences in this thing, they show promise of someone who's going to eventually someday create a classic. So I actually wrote down the cinematographer was Pierce McGrail, who I believe he hasn't worked on a lot of things, but this movie looks really good. So I wanted to shout him out here. But yeah, this movie, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It goes very campy in a couple parts. Like, if I have any complaints about it, it's that I would dial a few things back because it goes pretty out there for some stuff. But I'm kind of a sucker for, like, you know, any possession movie or anything to do with satanic worship. Like, that is just my shit. I love all things Satan. Yeah, I recommend this one. It's kind of a sleeper this year because I haven't heard too many people talking about it, but finally decided to check it out, and I was pleasantly surprised. There's some really cool sequences in this thing, and I have respect for anyone who's willing to go there when it comes to kids. Like, in terms of, like, and I know that sounds horrible, but I'm talking about, like,
please explain.
Oh, yeah. I'm not meaning it. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Not in any sexual type of way, but like where they'll put a kid through something like kind of pretty rank, like in terms of satanic shit. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty wicked. I was a fan of it, but yes, absolutely no child sexual stuff. Let me clarify that. Oh my God.
Good to know.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I worded that so terribly, but I'm a born critic.
I'm just sad to know that, like, how am I going to enjoy Alpha Dog and Taking Woodstock and The Girl Next Door, knowing that since 2018 Emil's been canceled? What are we going to do?
Oh man, no, but that's the I don't know. I'm not going to comment on this one. I'm going to go no comment, but I'm a big fan of Alpha
Speed
Dog.
Racer. What are we going to do?
Was it Jane Doe? The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I never saw that.
Oh my God, man, that movie is so good. Yeah, Kyle, I was actually just thinking about that the other day. I was actually going to watch it last night, so we should do an episode on that since you haven't seen it.
Perfect. I'm down. That sounds great.
It is so good.
We can talk more about Emil. Perfect.
It was before he choke slammed his agent. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Oh, God,
cool. You've seen anything for Jackson, haven't you?
Yeah, I like anything for Jackson.
No, I've never seen that either.
Well, no, I want to hear this because everybody shit on me for liking that one. Like, Lindsay, did you think it wasn't good either?
No, I really liked it actually. Give me more Satanists in a community.
Yeah, I thought the Satan shit was so good in that one too.
Oh my God, I loved it. It was just like, yeah, this is how it would actually be. It'd be these dorks coming over and just kind of like hanging out in the hall and then going home again. And then you just got that one guy who takes it too far. But no, I really thought it was really innovative.
Yeah, that's the episode that we canceled, Kyle.
Correct.
we were gonna do that was when we did the modern classic Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yes.
The modern classic. Yeah. For those who don't remember, Mitch gave the Exorcism of Emily Rose a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but then
3.5.
3.5 on Letterboxd, and then went on to call it a modern classic, which, as far as I'm concerned, is what the professors of our day would call an oxymoron.
Now let's talk about how Tom Green's Freddy Got Fingered got like a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that movie is a cinematic masterpiece.
That's a really unique case, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
I broke up with a boy after he showed me that movie.
Enough said.
After he showed you that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, because that would be how I get dumped.
Yeah, that checks out.
I love Freddy Got Fingered, and it is a problem. I'm aware.
Oh, no, I need to watch it again because I haven't watched it this time, and obviously I was so offended by it that I just looked at him and went, no. But
that is just cause, though. I will say that.
So I need to watch it again to actually kind of, because I haven't watched it since then, but I just remember just looking at the screen, then looking at him, and he was loving it, and then I'm just like going, no, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work.
Oh yeah, you gotta look at it as a piece of performance art.
I think you do. Yeah.
There's a subsect of the internet and I guess the world now that do believe that film to be a masterpiece now, 20 years later.
I'm one of those people.
I haven't seen it
I thought it was a masterpiece when it came out. I was I think 8 years old, and I didn't even know what being fingered meant. Classic. And I thought that it was the funniest movie ever made.
Oh my God, that was a sexual education and a half, especially the horse wanking off?
Oh yeah, the horse.
God.
Yeah, and I think no, it's so good, and I love the skateboard ramp fail where he cuts his leg open.
Oh yes.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about rollerblading later.
Oh, yeah, we definitely are talking about rollerblading. Shout out Airborne.
Yeah,
And
shout
Brink.
out Airborne.
Have you seen
Shout out-
Brink? Did either of you guys see Brink?
Brink?
No.
Brink is
Oh,
it was a Family
yes.
Channel exclusive.
I have seen Brink.
It was a rollerblading film.
Yeah, of course.
That was when I told my parents I wanted to be a professional rollerblader when I grew up.
I wanted to be a professional scooterer, actually.
Oh,
so.
fucking right, buddy.
Shout out
That's
Razor. Razor,
Yeah,
if Razor,
shout
you
out
want to
Razor.
sponsor the show, please get at us.
God. Hey, Lindsay, you probably have to deal with scooters a lot still, hey? Like, are scooters
yes.
pretty big in Australia?
Oh, they're huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Absolutely,
imagine.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
good
no,
way
they,
to get around.
It's a really great way to get around, especially in Melbourne traffic. But they also go on the bike ramps, which can be a little bit care thingy if you have to walk around them. You have to go, was there a scooter coming?
Damn.
Gotta watch out for the scooters.
Awesome. Okay, Kyle, do you have anything else you want to talk about today?
No.
No. All right, Lindsay, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get on to our main feature?
No, I am good.
You're good? Awesome. Okay, well, we will be right back with our main feature presentation, which we will be talking about Body Melt first, and then Lake Mungo. Stick around.
Welcome to Terra's new dead end.
The first phase is hallucinogenic. The second phase is glandular. The third phase is...
Body melt.
He was one healthy dude. Unnaturally healthy. Now I'm talking new drugs here, right? I'm talking 90s, man. Cognition enhancers. Designed to take your mind into new intra-phenomenological dimensions.
In Sleepy Pebbles Court, something deadly is happening.
All Matthews, target number 1.
One by one,
Mugo family,
they're dying.
Malnutrition and immunology.
Be prepared,
Cheryl and Brian ran positive pregnancy.
because nothing can prepare you for the horror,
Up until their birth, babies are the ultimate parasite.
the madness,
Something is wrong.
the fury.
What is this?
A new age of human potential has dawned. Body melt. Pray they don't visit your street.
Done any good drugs lately?
And we have reached our main feature presentation where we're going to be talking about Body Melt and Lake Mungo. But I believe we are going to start off with Body Melt because if we started off with Lake Mungo, we would probably have nothing left in the tank for Body Melt because it's going to be a heavier conversation, I believe.
We're
Oh,
going
yeah.
chronological, to be fair.
And exactly, it's chronological, but we invited Lindsay Wilkins of the Schlock and Awe Podcast on to talk about horror movies. And of course, I said that we have to do a double. And Lindsay, you recommended this double. And why is that?
I wanted to show kind of to the broad spectrum of Australian horror, I guess. I didn't quite plan the bodily goo and the spiritual kind of philosophy of the pairing, but I just wanted to show what Australian movies were capable of. That wasn't Wolf Creek. No, I like Wolf Creek a lot, so that's no diss on that. But I think Australian horror movies tend to think it's one thing, and it is multiple different things. And we can be just as insane or more insane than most other countries when it comes to filmmaking. So, Body Melt
totally
and Lake
agree.
Mungo it is.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually, before we even kick off with Body Melt, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because even when we first started talking, Lindsay, I had told you that I'm a huge fan of Australian horror movies. Like some of my favorite recent horror movies have come out of Australia. And like you said, like a lot of them they're very dark. And I guess I wanted to hear your take on why that might be, like why Australia is pumping up movies like Hounds of Love. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but that movie,
I've seen bits and pieces of it, yeah.
it's very good. Like it's very good at what it does. But that it's also like very upsetting. And, you know, it's one of those things I could totally understand someone not wanting to watch because it is just like, it's a serial killer couple with their sexual stuff. It's rough. But like then there's the Snowtown Murders, The Loved Ones is one of my favorite horror movies. Like even like the Babadook is more cerebral, like Jennifer Kent stuff, and like oh my god, I'm such a huge fan of The Nightingale. Like I love that movie. But there's something about Australian horror movies. Relic, that's another one that came out recently. And Better Watch Out, Australian. Very shout out, great movie. Better Watch Out. Kyle Zervinsky's dumb. Maybe Australia is making dangerous horror movies, Kyle.
I'll put it this way: my whole life, I thought everything I lived for was a tragedy, but it turned out it was just a fucking comedy.
Shut the! Oh my god! I'm gonna kill you. Man, I have never. This has been one of the most uncomfortable things for me to experience because I do like Joker. I still like it, but the more I see people share memes of it, the more I'm like, oh no, I'm being associated with those guys probably.
No comment.
Fuck you.
I think there is two kinds of Joker fan. One who just generally like the movie and what Joaquin Phoenix did in that movie, and then you have everybody else.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely the first one, but I do definitely think, unfortunately, and that happens for a lot of movies. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anything by Zack Snyder for some reason. So how was your 10th viewing of the Justice League, Mitch?
Okay. I only got to 4. And to be fair, you heard I didn't talk about Army of the Dead today because I'm having to watch it in 20-minute segments because like I'm just not into it. But I know that this is going to turn around to me watching it 10 times.
So Zack Snyder is just not a filmmaker I gravitate toward, and some of it, I think it's because he does have a very specific fan base, not all of his fan base, but there is that kind of really weird bro culture, which I think has kind of...
You can just say Kyle Zervinsky.
Kyle Zervinsky. Has kind of popped up around him, and which I don't think his movies necessarily deserve, but they've got them there. So it's just this weird thing that sometimes happens with a movie where like the Beastie Boys first album, it's like all these people who rallied around it were not the people that went to rally around that album, and it's kind of the same for
exactly. It's like Ben Shapiro. It's like Ben Shapiro saying that he's a Rage Against the Machine fan, though. That actually happened.
I just no.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's like you're not the person that's meant to be all. Yeah, if you find out like the dead Kennedys had to write a "fuck off Nazis" Nazi punk song because all the Nazi punks kept going, "We like this band." It's like, no, you're not meant to like us. We don't like you.
Fuck yeah! You gotta wonder I wonder what Sucker Punch is like nowadays.
Dude, I own the Steel book.
I've never saw Sucker Punch actually, but it looked pretty.
It's not good.
It looked interesting. I'll put it that way.
It's very like visually stunning, but there's nothing else there because like there's no story. It's just like really cool action sequences. If you're into those like CGI slow motion action sequences.
Now, would you say the same about
barely any clothes? So, Zack Snyder, woo.
Does the same go for Body Melt though? That's the real question.
Yeah, well, I was asking the question to Lindsay about what, like, do you feel that like Australia just why do we see so many? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but like it seems like a lot of really dark stuff comes out of Australia. Do you have any take on why that could be?
I think because we live in a country that most of the time wants to kill us. I don't necessarily think that people have lived in Australia for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, which definitely ties into Lake Mungo a little bit. But
2021 years, just to be exact.
Exact. Glad you know Australian history better than I do. But at the same time, this is a land that really shouldn't be inhabited the way it's been inhabited, if this makes any sense. Like, Australia never had the manifest destiny that, say, I don't know if this was exactly the same in Canada. I was going to ask you if Canada has the cultural cringe. Like, you just look at your own country's culture and go, oh, really?
We just basically all live in igloos and eat beef jerky.
Exactly. And Australians live in huts with an outhouse and are attacked by spiders all the time.
And you have kangaroo friends. You guys are first name.
Friends.
Yeah, you're on first name basis with some kangaroos.
Exactly. I would introduce you to my kangaroo.
What do you think about Kangaroo Jack?
No.
You're more of a sequel. You like the animated flavor, you know?
I do. Yeah, more of the animated. Yeah, definitely more the animated on that one. We're living in a country that wants to kill us, I guess, especially in the desert. and it's kind of got this feeling, and I guess Australia's sort of dark past, especially towards its indigenous, I think it's just kind of crept into everything. So
Canada
when we make,
has that too.
Very much
yes.
so.
Yeah, so when we make movies, it's all about death. And even our comedies, like something like Muriel's Wedding and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, are both really dark movies. So there's this weird thing about how we're kind of always surprised that we're alive. So we make movies about death and depression. And Snowtown murder movies is one of the darkest things I've ever seen. And I think I've put more violence into that movie that is actually there. But what is implicated is, oh God.
That's exactly it. Like I lost sleep. That's one of the few movies of my adult life that I lost sleep over, just because it was so sad. But it's also just it's a very good movie though. It's very well made.
Oh yeah, and that director's only made one other movie. I think that only just came out in Australia last year, the year before maybe.
What's with you Aussies in that? Because the Lake Mungo, same thing.
Lake Mungo, I think, was actually made by Ghosts. But no, I think I think funding can get really difficult over here, even though we have like state funding and national funding. I think it can be sometimes really tricky to get all the funding together to actually make something. Or because we have the same thing where it's made for like $5 in a pizza, most these movies. Or it's a bigger production where you often will have a joint kind of American or Canadian and Australian thing going on. So I think it's just money mainly.
That's awesome. Like I wondered this myself while watching Body Melt, actually. Like, is there, like, am I wrong in saying that there's kind of like a kindred spirit like connection between Australian and Canadian film? Like I kind of felt that way.
I think so.
You describing this right now, Lindsay. I think there definitely is, like, some in very like financial ways, but then also I think kind of like just responding to the land and responding to, I guess, climate and history. There's a lot going on there.
It really is, and I think people sort of look at it at like how the Americans handled it, and it's very different because they have this big manifest destiny kind of thing. Whereas I don't think a lot of the other colonies do, just because we're just like, then you sort of, it's a harsh climate. There's a lot of a lot of landscape, especially in Canada. Yeah, New Zealand has a similar thing, and they'll where there is this kind of very violent past, and it just keeps creeping into the movie. So you will have these movies that are just absolutely gory, kind of goopy things like Body Melt, or you really get these kind of serious, kind of meditatives like Mungo.
Yeah, and the Babadook, and the
Babadook,
that's like Sean Byrne is one of my he's one of the filmmakers that I'm just most excited to see because he made The Loved Ones and The Devil's Candy. I loved both of those movies. But yeah, just something. I think the first one that made me realize that I was watching an Australian horror movie was obviously Wolf Creek, and that was just such a soul-sucking adventure. But then I see Snowtown Murders. I'm like, what the fuck is with Australia? Do we got to send doctors over? Like, do you guys does someone need to hold your hand?
Yes, they do, because both of those are based on actual serial killers as well. So it's like if you go into the outback, you don't come back.
Same with Hounds of Love, though. Hounds of Love is based off of Australian serial killers as well. And same with Killing Ground, which was another one that really messed me up. But then you guys have like Little Monsters, which was Lupita Nyong'o's comedy that came out. I forgot
about that one. Yes, the most delightful movie ever made.
Oh my God, I loved it. I thought that movie was so much fun. I laughed so hard in that movie. And Kyle Zervinsky's in that, Josh Gad.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, he plays Barney.
Oh, that's his best role, actually, because he is such a monster in that movie.
But last thing I'll say about Australian cinema, though, is you guys are the ones keeping crocodile films alive. Like we got Blackwater, and then same with Rogue, which is like one of my favorite crocodile movies. But I'm a huge fan of those types of nature run-amok films.
Crocodile Dundee, you know.
Oh yes.
Yes, that's a knife. Did I do it right?
That's a knife. No, if you've never seen Dark Age, seek it out and watch it. I think it's a little bit hard to get over there, but it's from 1988. It's a crocodile movie. It's got a very young Jarrett, Wolf Creek guy in it who's not playing a sociopath. John Jarrett, yeah. Trying to save this man-eating crocodile. It's so good.
This looks amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I can't wait to fucking somehow find this on the internet. I'm going to find it. It looks so good.
It is so good. It is just, it's not the movie you think it is completely going in, and oh my god, yeah.
I'm in. Okay, well, yeah, sorry. Sorry to take us on that little tangent, but it is something like I've been very fortunate to get to know you over the last couple months, Lindsay, and like we've been talking about, we talk lots of movies all the time on Twitter and everything like that. So I wanted to wait until I could actually speak to you to get your take on Australian horror movies, because since the beginning of the Terror Table, I've always mentioned that some of my favorite horror movies come out of Australia. So it's cool. We can talk about Body Melt now. So why did you choose Body Melt for this episode?
Because it was complete opposite to Lake Mungo. I don't know why. I saw it a few years ago. It popped up on Tubi, so I didn't know what it was, and kind of was just amazed by the inventiveness of it, and just the haphazard way this movie feels like it's being put together. I think it was meant to be an anthology to start off with, which you can kind of tell because this movie goes all over the place.
It goes hard. The kids would say it slaps.
It slaps so hard. And then the fact that it kind of has all this kind of Australian soap opera royalty in this movie before they became kind of famous. And it's a weird thing to watch it sort of growing up on Australian television going, these people were in this movie? Because it goes so many kinds of ridiculous from the get-go, where you have I'm going to get her name wrong. The evil scientist business lady seducing some guy completely naked and so sweaty. I mean, this movie is
so sweaty.
This movie is so sweaty. I think it was.
I was looking it up and I just put body sweat.
Yes, you could just call it body sweat and it would be the exact same movie. And then it sort of goes on from there. And then it just goes stranger and stranger and stranger. And before you know it, you're in a scene with a killer placenta. And you're not entirely sure how you got there. It is, as the kids say, it slaps and it fucks.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, man.
We showed this, it was in 2018, the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival. It was like it was before I was even heavily involved. But we come up with like a different theme of like throwback movies. And the year that this played, we had Body Melt, Society, and Videodrome. And it's like, to see all of those movies in a theater was fucking amazing. But Body Melt, I think this one and Society, they both played at noon on both days. And it was like right after the all-you-can-eat cereal cartoon party.
Yes,
that's exactly when you want to watch Body Melt.
Oh yeah, our film festival is the best thing Saskatoon has to offer. But seeing Body Melt and Society in the same weekend on the big screen, wow,
that'd be a trip.
I'm pleased to announce that Body Melt does in fact slap and fuck.
Whoa!
I fucking loved Body Melt.
It's so good.
Okay, like there's a lot going on here. Like it's like a body horror film, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of there's really something special about this one though, because to me, I really like the cynical aspects about this movie, like the kind of the sort of like satire that's happening throughout the movie. I think that is what really makes it stand out for me, and really kept me like wanting more. And like, even though there's a lot of like disgusting scenes in this movie, there's also a lot of like strange plot that you have to like follow throughout it, like leading up to like those kind of like, I don't know, rewarding moments. But
I've never been able to follow the plot.
I dug the plot. I thought it was so nonsense. Like, it made no sense, but I liked that. Like, I was immediately hooked by like the opening infomercial. I kind of knew right away. Like,
oh yeah,
I think I'm probably gonna like this.
It opened like climax.
It kind of opened like
you did.
That's probably why I liked it. The music I also fucking loved.
Windows 95 techno.
Oh my god, that's it. I was trying to figure out way to describe it. It's friggin' 95.
Yeah. But the funny thing is this was before Windows 95. So what was before Windows 95?
93.
Oh my god.
I talked to Chris Hurtado last night. I was on his podcast talking about Anaconda's Hunt for the Blood Orchid, and he didn't know what MSN was.
What?
He had never heard of MSN.
Liar.
It's funny that we were talking about anacondas and I brought up MSN.
Well, I mean, that actually doesn't surprise me much.
And he's like, has no clue what ICQ is. But I don't know where we were getting at with this.
Anyway, I do have to say the technology, I did make a note of it that like, in a way, like for 1993, I kind of dug like the style of this technology because sure, it's like clearly dated and maybe like a little bit embarrassing, but I've seen far worse offenders. And like the stuff in this makes a lot of... Yeah, Reboot, great example. Great, shout out Canada.
Also, shout out Reboot.
Yeah.
No, it makes Lawnmower Man look spot on in terms of the virtual reality.
Yeah. And same with that. What's that one with Edward Furlong? We just talked about it.
Oh shoot! Yes.
The Brain Scan. Brain Scan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, you'd love Brain Scan. I'm gonna get Kyle just super into body horror. You love Cronenberg. That was the first Terror Table episode you came on, was Videodrome.
And honestly, this movie has like little hints of like They Live a little bit, I would say.
Oh, totally. Just the energy.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I liked about it. I think overall, just like the kind of like playful vibe of this movie is what I really liked. It never was really, actually, not even for a moment was it taking itself seriously. And that's what I really like with like something like this, because the body horror then just really feels like pure satisfaction at that point. It feels like just nothing but like, I don't know, some like weird blood-soaked substance that I feel like I deserve by the time it shows up.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, you talked about on a double feature episode recently, you talked about Shaun of the Dead and Dead Alive. And Dead Alive is one of my that's my just favorite gooey movie. And
yes.
So now I want to now that we've shown Kyle Body Melt, I want to do a Dead Alive episode. Because it's so gooey, man. And I just have a lot of fun with this movie. I actually didn't see it until that festival screening. That was the first time I had ever seen it. So I got to see it on the big screen, and it's wild. Like, it's so much fun. Like, I just like the energy of it. The gym supplement conversation that it tries to have. I love the like super buff dudes who have little boy voices overdubbed.
Oh,
yeah.
They were not real. They were not real. They were something out of Meet the Feebles. Oh my God.
Oh, exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Meet the Feebles. Yeah. And it's such a, what's that, Kyle?
I just want to ask Lindsay a question. Can I tell you a joke really quick?
Yes.
Elton John.
Okay, that's my first note. I didn't appreciate the Elton John disrespect.
I didn't appreciate it, but some of the dialogue in here is really, really funny.
Can we go for a second? Can we be real for a second? So that woman, technically it's that woman that we think he's visualizing, but we don't know if she's there. She massages his rib out of his stomach.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Do you guys think is that how Marilyn Manson did it?
I knew this was gonna happen. I actually fucking knew it was gonna come up. I just knew it.
Lindsay, did you guys have that rumor in Australia? I want to see how.
Did.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yes.
That was the best rumor in high school, because it was like, whoever came up with this is the most savage. Like,
I didn't have to write it down because I knew Mitch would bring it up. I just knew that was going to happen.
It was always the rumor that he was the kid from the Wonder Years, and that
I haven't heard that one.
Wow, no.
He was like the best friend nerd kid, and that apparently he grew up to be Marilyn Manson. I don't know if he started these rumors himself. But
I always thought he was John Benet Ramsey.
At this point.
Or wait, that's Katy Perry. Marilyn Manson, Katy Perry, same thing. Tomato.
Thing. Yeah, same thing.
Tomato soup. All right, back to Body Melt, though. Yeah, it's just nuts, man. Like, this whole movie's just fucking crazy, and it's just like, it's that energy that I can really fuck with when it comes to this style of body horror. Like, have you guys both seen Society?
No.
Yes.
Okay, Kyle, we got to get you on Society. Society is a great body horror movie, but
Lindsay, hey Mitch.
Yep.
Hey, we live in a society.
Don't you dare! I will kill you. I'll strangle you dead.
Just want to let you know.
Oh my God, Lindsay! Oh, you'll get what you fucking deserve, Kyle.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Thank you.
Lindsay, are you a fan of body horror in general?
I really am. I think it must have been Videodrome as well that I first saw, and I fell in love with it. There's something just so horrible and awful and wrong about body horror that makes complete sense. Like,
especially if you put James Woods in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes it even worse.
It's just the role he was born to play. It was just like, yes, you are this disgusting creature.
He's not allowed to ruin Videodrome for us. Let's just say that. Let's put that out into the universe right now. Let's give that energy off where James Woods is not allowed to ruin Videodrome for us.
We'll always have Debbie Harry. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. God, that movie's so good though. But yeah, he perfectly plays that piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, and he just nails it. And then you're like, oh, Because he is a piece of shit, and he is Hades. He's Hades, yeah. He does that
Hades.
really well.
Yeah, he's a great Hades. Let's be honest.
He's a great Hades. Yeah, he's a really great Hades, and there's a reason for it. And yeah, there's something about body horror that our bodies are disgusting, creep things anyway. And so when you have something like Videodrome or kind of that gooiness, or even like Possessor from last year.
Oh god, I love that movie.
Oh
my god, yeah, I loved it so
That was
much.
my favorite of the year.
Yeah, I think it was like my top 3 or 5, like three maybe.
I feel like we have the same taste in movies, Lindsay, the more we
yes.
talk.
Yeah, I realized that. I always thought that, it's kind of, it's strange because you're such in sync with Chris as well, and then we've got a lot in common, so it's very...
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, I love you, and I love your taste in movies, you know that.
I hate it, and then fuck you, Chris, but I'm showing him
Chris.
tough love. I'm showing him tough love. No, but
Yeah.
Kyle, we got to get you and Chris in the same room, though. Like for real, like at least the same chat room.
Booking a flight.
You guys are. He was just ranting about Sleepover on a YouTube channel last night, so that it. Yeah. Oh yeah. He gave it the 5th best movie of 2004.
Wait, this is the same person?
Yeah, Chris
Yes.
Hurtado.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
I can't believe Shadow Daniel and Chris Hurtado. Kyle and Boozy probably haven't even listened to our Fantasy Oscars episodes.
I'm gonna go.
They
no
are
comment on
must
this.
listen.
That's gang. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not very. Yeah, listen to Lindsay, Kyle. Jesus, see, my friends don't support me.
Oh no.
Yeah. Classic. What are your parents divorced? Like, come on, man.
Shut the fuck up. Okay, sorry, Lindsay. I think I cut you off mega hard.
No,
but
I was just, I like goopy movies. And Body Melt is particularly goopy.
do you like a goofy movie though?
I
The
do
movie-
actually. Yes,
Oh, it's
I like
so
a
good,
goofy
but so
movie.
sad.
Yeah.
So sad. Maximilian. It's the Leaning Tower of Cheese. Holy Shore, everyone. Shut up.
Classic. Yeah, shut up, Holly.
It's a modern classic.
The body horror in this one, though, like the more I think about it, I think why it worked for me in a lot of ways is because the film was about your body. It's not that like the body horror is like a substitute to something else, or that it's telling one kind of story and it just happens to have like body horror in it.
Like Starry Eyes is a body horror movie, but it's not it doesn't have enough reason to be a body horror movie the way the video drama in this. Like I'm playing devil's advocate for you, Kyle. You're the dummy who doesn't like that movie.
Whatever, I don't want to get into it. But even something like Videodrome, like I guess Videodrome is more so like this, I suppose. But like this, like there's clearly like intent to why like the bodies are so, I don't know, absurd and like out of any kind of realm of possibility, because there's this drug involved, and like sure, maybe it's plot dependent, but like I think that really helps its case, honestly. And I think it kind of helps like visualize like the disgusting nature of these things, and also like helps with the impact, because like there's like dicks exploding, there's like you were saying, chased like wild placenta, there's like there's a lot going on in this film, which part of it is hilarious, and other aspects of it are like generally like can barely keep my eyes open watching some of this.
This is a good point. Like I noticed last night, and I did watch it after watching Lake Mungo, which I should have switched them, but I didn't want Lake Mungo in my head before I went to bed. But yeah, I think some of it does drag because there are so many things going on, and it's got such an over convoluted plot. Like,
I don't even accept that. I don't accept that there's a plot in this movie, and I think it's better that way. Like I just have so much fun just watching it and being like, it's kind of like Crank energy, like with Jason Statham.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Because it's a bunch of nonsense happening, and obviously it's kind of like Italian horror. Like if you really, really watch, it'll make sense somewhat. But it's also just as fun to just like watch the effects work at play, and like they just have an incredible hook that'll allow them to give you an hour and a half of an effects extravaganza, and I love it.
Yes, because I made the mistake of actually trying to follow what the plot was, and I kept losing it. Like I kept kind of zoning out, and then all of a sudden, a dick would explode, and I'd be back into the movie. But
basically, Painting Game.
Yes,
kind of.
Painting Game meets RoboCop with the exploding dick.
It's like
it kind of is.
I don't know. I think the whole thing is the plot is so one note, like it's convoluted, but it's really only saying one thing. So even if you can't keep track of it, it's like doesn't really matter. It's still fun. Like I don't know.
And you automatically get points when you have any rollerblading montage.
Oh my god, yeah, that's fucking awesome.
The rollerblading montage.
So, okay, do you think the kid just like ate? Like, did he just face plant there, or did he happen to face plant while he also had a side effect of the drugs? Like what? Like,
did you hear what he said before he went into the face plant though, and he did the backflip on the half pipe? He said, "This one's going to be over the fucking top," and then he goes down, and then he does like a triple backflip. I don't know, because the editing was like, it was just watching him glitch in the air.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Oh god, I loved it.
It's almost like part of it's almost like Run Lola Run sometimes.
Yes,
like, it's like kind of like
or
really
C-Spot Run.
Right, or C-Spot Run. There's parts of it that are like almost like a music video in some ways, but I actually really like that shit. I think the fact that it's like oddly like experimental to the point where it's sometimes annoying, that kind of helps it, because like I like the way that it's really just having fun with it. It's obnoxious, but in a really palatable way. Like it's
Chumbawamba, the horror movie.
Yo, and shut up Chumbawamba.
Oh my god, it really is.
Yeah.
You get knocked down, but you get back up again.
You do. Yeah.
That's what's important.
Y'all should look into Chumbawamba. They have like a weird history that's like oddly impacting. I don't know.
I thought that was Ace of Base, who has the like Nazi propaganda in their stuff.
That's different. That's Chumbo. I'm pro Chumbo.
Yeah, honestly, just Google Ace of Base Nazi propaganda, and it's nuts.
We'll get
It's
Boozy
crazy.
to talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't know why we're covering Boozy material when Boozy's not even here.
Very good point. Okay, one thing I want to point out was the like the two, like I think they're supposed to be like Italian brothers or something like that, or like the Balkan skull of this movie.
Yes.
They look like they're from 1993, but they just look like 2021 like TikTokers. They have like
They look like Jake Paul.
They just look like Jake Paul.
Oh.
I loved that whole like, because when you say it's supposed to be an anthology, that makes a lot of sense specifically for that section of the film, because that is clearly just like totally
That's
a complete left turn from what else is kind of happening.
Yeah,
but I loved it so much. All the people on that like farm or whatever, they all like run like they're Power Ranger villains. It's like it's like totally fucking nonsense. It's so funny.
Because I kept wondering, why is this a hallucination, or are they actually at this farm with these people? And then, because I love how one of the boys is completely flirting with the sister just off the straight away, like with her one massive eyebrow, forehead, whatever that thing
just
is.
pulling a Kyle Zervinsky.
Yeah, a classic one.
Classic Kyle.
Classic Kyle, just like going for it right there. There's a bit of skirt. I'm on
He's
it.
a sexual predator.
If you have an eyebrow,
yeah, I'm coming for you. Sick.
Mitch's words, not mine.
Yes. So you don't know why you're there, and they kind of go back to them as to try and tie it into the rest of the movie, which I don't think they needed to do personally. But it's just this weird, like, keep it in the family thing, and they look like Power Ranger villains, and we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's just, and I just like looking at this going, this is a strange comment on outside of Melbourne community. Not exactly untrue, but exaggeration.
I don't know. I thought that was funny though, because I got that like there was clearly like some sort of like jab being taken out at like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like folks from like out of towners or something like that. But then it made it like totally worth it by the time the fucking kangaroos showed up. I was like, okay, now they're just taking the piss out of like all of these like Australian like stereotypes and I don't know, ways to like attribute like maybe a negative image to Australia. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. This does not paint Australia in the best light, because
but that's this would have fit better for this conversation than whatever movie we were talking about in the pre-feature. But I do have mad respect for any movie that will like fucking balls to the wall kill babies in movies like they do in this movie. Like it's just it's so insane, and like the whole exploding out of the womb stuff, like,
oh my god,
it's like this movie really fucking goes there, but it's so over the top that it's not disturbing, you know, like it's just so like ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that it's like it's not tasteless. Like to me, something being tasteless would be like it being very fucking realistic, and it's something traumatizing that would really bother an audience or trigger some people. But this is so clearly, it's like Dead Alive. And that's what I was trying to get at. And I hope I can redeem myself now for sounding like a psychopath earlier in this episode. But like, that's what I was meaning, is it's just like, it's admirable being able to see people go like this campy and over the top, and it be like it's just so entertaining. It's like Bubblegum the movie.
It really is Bubblegum the movie. It is so goofy, goopy, kind of wears its heart on its sleeve kind of thing. Because it's just looks like a group of people that are going out to make a movie, and they don't really necessarily care that they don't have a plan. They don't have. It's not going to be perfect, but they're just going to do it so they can actually just make something. And that's one thing I love about Australian and New Zealand. If you want to dump the Kiwis in there as well, a film which is Dead Alive. Because it is just that sense of, I'm going to make a movie. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. This movie's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to make any sense, especially Body Melt.
Yeah.
But we're just making something, and we're just going to make it fun, and we're going to have fun with it. And that comes all through Body Melt. I mean, this movie kills multiple children. It is absolutely insane. It's got some of stock standard Australian soap opera actors. So you're watching like certain, like the pregnant lady is played by an actress called Lisa McCune, who is kind of considered kind of an Australian sweetheart almost. And just to see her belly explode and to give birth to a placenta and have to call a doctor and go, can you give birth to a placenta a month before you give birth? It's just
oh my God. Yeah, that was so nuts.
That was probably the most that was the hardest scene to watch, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially even over the deck exploding, which is
that was
says
funny.
A lot.
That was hilarious.
But it says a lot about the effect of the movie when it's just crazy. Yeah, well, I think we did I think we did Body Melt justice, but do you guys have anything else you want to add about it before we move on to Lake Mungo?
Well, no, I'm good.
The only thing I'll add is I was looking into, I guess, the director of this film and also the art punk group they're from, like Chick. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they're a pretty interesting group. And like, I could see how like this film was less of like their magnum opus and more of like an experiment, which kind of makes sense looking back at after watching the film. Like they made experimental music, they scored the film, and I could see that they would probably argue this is all performance art to an extent. I think that would maybe be like the approach they kind of took with it. I don't know if I would like necessarily label it that way, but I think that makes sense for some of the like absurd aspects of this film, and also maybe kind of where where like the inspiration from it came, because for the most part this film really just talks about like pharmaceutical bad, consumerism bad, which... Well,
not only that, like gym supplements, like that's why we need a remake of Body Melt in 2022.
I think we do. I'm with you on that.
Like gym supplements are bigger than ever. Let's get some fucking Body Melt action going. Hollywood, are you listening?
Yes.
Hollywood, listen.
Actually, no, I want a Body Melt remake, but I want it made by the lead singer of Midnight
Robert
Oil.
Eggers.
Midnight, sure.
Midnight Oil, oh no.
Imagine it's just like a 3 hour, it's just 3 hours of someone's like fucking muscles exploding. That's like, there's so much like bladder effects in this movie, and that's the last thing I'll say about it is I love how much, because you do not see bladder effects anymore.
No, it's
like the kind of stuff where it's just like faces like, inflating and deflating and then stuff exploding. Like it's so goofy.
You just don't get bladder effects like you used to, man. Shit's fucked.
I know. Rest in peace, life. 2021. All right.
Rest in peace, life.
Let's move on to Lake Mungo.
The following is based on true events.
Can you interpret dreams?
Sometimes. How do you feel when you wake up from these dreams?
They scare me a bit.
For Alice Palmer, underneath the hopes of a bright future were suspicions
I feel like something bad is going to happen to me.
that death was near.
You scared of dying?
Yeah, of course I'm scared of dying.
That was the last time that I saw her. I kept hearing noises in the hallway.
It hasn't reached me yet, but it's on its way. I feel like I can't do anything.
I think Ellie saw a ghost. I didn't have any rational explanation for who was in those photos.
Something was happening inside that house and I wanted to find out what it was.
There was a ghost in our house.
course I'm scared of dying. Isn't everyone scared of dying?
Well, yeah, we're talking about Mungo number 5. I mean, we are talking about Lake Mungo from 2008. Lindsay Wilkins, this is your second pick of the podcast. Normally, we only let guests pick one movie, but we knew this was going to be a great double feature. Why did you pair this one up with Body Melt?
I sort of thought of this beforehand because, as I was mentioning to Kyle before, I had not heard of this movie, and if I did, I thought it was this American indie. I didn't actually realize it was Australian. And when I sat down and watched it, it confused me. Not as much as like a Lynch movie does, but definitely in that same ballpark. And I think it's just an absolutely unique movie that I swear is made by ghosts. Like this movie, it kind of feels like one of those little secrets that you swap when you swap like VHSs or something. I still don't know. I kind of like the fact this movie is a mystery. I don't want to read too much into it because I like to think that it's an actual thing and not something that's crafted, if that makes sense. And that's why I really wanted to talk about it because I think it's one of the most unique movies you will ever see.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's not much telling us that we can't look at it that way because like the people in the movie are not actors and the director disappeared after this.
He did.
It's kind of like the biggest mic drop moment in the 20th century for horror, honestly.
Yes.
Like, this is a movie that so many people have slept on. And I'm sorry, Kyle. For all I know, Kyle fucking hated it. The movie is actually creepy. Like, this is like one of the only movies in my adult life to actually scare me. I think really it's genuinely a creepy movie. Especially
because I thought it was a found footage movie. It's not. It's a mockumentary, or as I like to think, an actual documentary. And it's not about the jump scares, except for one right at the end that I think you can kind of say is a jump scare. But it's just this kind of, and it's it lasts. I'm not looking at the screen. It's really confronting, and it's just this really quiet kind of thing. And I think that when I first saw it, I think I gave it about a 3 out of 5 because I think it confused me a little bit just because I didn't know what I was watching. And then watching it this time around, I haven't put it on Letterboxd yet, but it's probably going to get higher just because I think I noticed the strangeness of it more, like all these weird tiny little beats of things that they just gloss over that you just want to go, wait, hang on, you did what now? In this movie that the way it deals with grief and the way it sort of deals with how you remember someone has going in and tying everything kind of together, and also the fact that it's the crux of the movie happens in Lake Mungo in Australia, so it's even a whole bunch more about what this movie is actually saying. So I think you could watch this movie and get a different thing out of each time you're watching it.
Right, I could totally see that. I think this movie like definitely welcomes like repeat viewings.
Oh yeah,
especially like as the film progresses. Like, I mean, even on my first watch, this is my first time seeing it. There was definitely things as it like, I don't want to give too much away, but as it wraps up, you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute, like. But beyond that, I think just watching it from the beginning to really kind of see where those, I guess, red herrings a little bit how they're planted and how that adds to the larger context of what's happening, because it's like meticulous the way this film is constructed. It's really thoughtful in that way.
And
you go.
It's that shit that is what creeps me out the most this time around. Like, where I feel like, because this is my second time watching it, and I feel like it's weird because I knew where it was going to go, and I don't know how spoiler heavy we're going to go. I think maybe we should just say that we're going to have a spoiler warning from now on, because it sounds like the three of us at least got something out of it. So yeah, this is going to be a spoiler warning right here. We're going to start just openly talking about this movie because I think you have to. But regardless to say, if you haven't seen Lake Mungo, this is one of those movies that even if you end up not loving it the way that everyone else does, this is a must watch. I think this is essential viewing if you're wanting to look at like the new age of horror and like what it's capable of. Like, this came out 1 year after Paranormal Activity. But it's yet still like they clearly didn't know about each other when they were happening. Like, that's happened so many times where like two movies that share similarities. And that's the thing, is even if you're not a fan of Paranormal Activity, that does not mean that you're not going to like Mungo. Like, it's a completely different beast. It's a different beast, but it is just like, yeah, I think it's one of the most like creative. Like, this is to me the new, like, this is the the runner-up to the Blair Witch Project in terms of this kind of filmmaking. That's how good Lake Mungo is. The way that it handles and crafts the story and the environment and the history behind everything. Everything feels so authentic. And even though I knew the twist, I was still getting scared at the fake outs, the red herrings.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how you know you have a really good fucking movie.
No, it's kind of weird because this movie, like Blair Witch, is the master at knowing where to put the camera, so you're looking at a specific thing. Now, in Blair Witch, it's obvious because someone's holding the camera weird and you can only see part of the screen or part of what they're looking at. But I was kind of watching it because I was trying to find, I guess since we're going into spoilers, I was trying to find Alice throughout the movie, and I kept missing her, even though I knew she was always there somewhere, which I don't know if was scarier, having someone who's just lurking in the background or having, like in the other movie you mentioned, not Poltergeist, Paranormal Activity, where you actually have things moving and kind of everything like that. I don't know which is scarier.
This is far scarier. I think.
Oh, this is far, just knowing that she's there.
It's a different kind of scare though, like because the thing is like legit. Like I know I sound like such a frat, but legit. But like Lake Mungo gets under my skin. And Paranormal Activity it's a fun scare fest. Like it's a fun like, oh, let's hold our breaths when we feel like something crazy is about to happen. Like there is some merit in that, and that's why I hate when people shit on Kyle. Shut the fuck up. Why are you always shitting on the Paranormal Activity franchise? I don't know. You always say it's not cinema. Neither is anything Marvel.
Well, and they're all just theme parks. I don't know. I think I don't know.
You and Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, exactly. As far as I'm concerned, like Paranormal Activity, it does like what it sets out to do, but it's kind of more of like instant gratification, where this is kind of like a slow burn in a way.
Okay, there you go. I agree with that. Yeah. We're on the right track here. Yeah. All right, thanks for getting us on track.
Hey,
Kyle.
It's what I do every time.
I'm sorry for getting out of hand. I didn't mean that. I really love you. Kiss you on the lips.
Anyways. Yeah, this is my first time seeing it. The first time I ever heard about this film, actually, though, was from friend of the show, Chris Stuckman. He made a video a couple years ago about this movie. Actually,
I watched it today, and I saw the comments, and there were so many people who were being like, "Yo, Chris Stuckman's the reason this movie blew up," and it's just like that can't be real.
There's probably, to be fair,
he definitely got some eyes on it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, good for him, but. So no, I had not seen this film. It's my first time watching it. I watched it after Body Melt, which I think was the right move. I think it was
the right move. I did it the wrong way.
Yeah, I did the same thing as you, Lindsay. I watched it, and I watched it right before bed, and yeah, it wasn't a good sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was the right move. However, like I was kind of like amped up after Body Melt, and then this was kind of like this somber, like kind of like contemplating sort of experience that I don't know if I was quite ready for. I probably should have took a break, but nonetheless, this is a film that really knows how to use found footage in an interesting way, where it's self-referential to the actual footage, but it uses it as a plot device in some ways too, like especially with the brother, right? Like there's ways that like the footage he's creating in the found footage, like it's sort of like there's a lot of like meta narrative sort of things happening in this film. But I didn't find any of that too hokey or too like convoluted. That's the thing. Like in a way, this movie should be really convoluted, but it's definitely not. It's very well planned out. And I think where the movie totally shines is actually in the editing room. I think this is like one of the best edited films I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Just imagine like all of these, like from what I understand, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like a lot of the dialogue is not scripted. It's maybe like there's prompts given perhaps to like what they should be saying. And like they're not actors, and then to like the nonsense that's happening, not nonsense, but like to a lot of like the chaos that's happening, and like what you were mentioning earlier, Lindsay, with like where the camera is placed, like that's all stuff that could like make for a terrible film with the wrong editor, because there's just too many scenarios and situations and reactions and ways to sort of create a narrative that could go, I guess, convoluted. It could go wrong and be convoluted, and like how this movie actually isn't, because it's just incredibly competent. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in like in the way like a Fincher film is competent. It's just like very
That's a good reference as the Fincher film, because like the film it takes this tragedy, which is a teenage girl is found dead, And then like there's just so many layers of grief, healing, and like all in like denial, sadness, anger, closure. All of that is like just peeled back in this like mockumentary style film. And it's so effective because the mood just feels so real. Like this movie makes the room feel cold.
Back to the editing, the whole thing reminds me of a current affairs show. In Australia, we have this thing called Four Corners, which is kind of these 1 hour documentary that can be anything from a past event to a political thing to investigative journalism. But they kind of structure it the same way, where you kind of get to know this group of people and then it kind of slowly opens up.
Right.
And
it's kind of like 60 Minutes, I guess, like a
it's
expose.
Expose kind of thing, and you're looking at this kind of family and this event and what actually happened to this girl, and it's just so you do get sucked in, like you're watching sort of this expose kind of thing that would be shown on a Sunday, but it's this supernatural story, and it is so sad. Like, this is such a cold movie, but it is such a sad movie on top of that, because you feel for this family who can't let go of their daughter because of obvious reasons, but then you go through and there's all these red herrings about what is actually happening. Ray, the most amazingly dodgy psychic I've ever seen in a movie. I love him so much. If we could have, the Adventures of Ray, that would be great. But at the same time, you kind of take it on as what you're watching is kind of fact. Like every single time something's upended, you're like, oh wait, this is not what I'm watching. Oh, okay, cool. We're into something else.
Well, it comes off so earnest, right? Like these conversations you have with everyone, and you're constantly revisiting these people because it's an interview style, documentary-esque film. So like, it's not like we're really given the time to process a lot of these things because we're still revisiting them and more information is coming out. And then we're also, as a viewer, taking that in while the family is dealing with their grief in various ways. So I think that's what's really like intriguing about this film is like, as a viewer, you're dealing with the grief while the family is as well.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point.
And you're watching that, like the kid fuck with them and like, plan out the like appearances of her. And it's like, that's when it just, oh my God, there's just chills directly down my spine when you start seeing like the Tui, like the neighbor in the house. Like there's just so much. That's what I'm talking about. Like where it was actually like, it's creepy when you think that you're seeing her shadow and it is planted, but then you're like, okay, so that's gone. And then you go right into seeing the neighbor hiding in the corner. Yeah. And it's like, that's even scarier to me because I'm a guy who like, as much as it sucks to say, like, I don't believe in any of that shit, like at all. And so I'm very close with people who have like, they're very spiritual and I respect that and everything. But I just like, it would be way scarier to me to see your neighbor in the frame of your house and like trying to figure out why your daughter's dead. Like it's just such a, like the movie is so incredibly layered and I find it so chilling. Like this is like one of the most chilling ghost stories. And even like there's so many people who'll be like, well, it's not technically a ghost story. It's like, fuck, this is a ghost story.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's kind of absolutely a ghost story.
This is kind of like the gritty, like Scooby-Doo movie we never asked for, Because think about like a Scooby-Doo villain. It's like all these breadcrumbs. You know?
Yeah.
But I think overall, like the way that, because like the mockumentary style is interesting. I don't know, like mockumentary implies comedy to me, but I feel like
I agree.
There's no comedy in this.
Yeah, this is not funny. It's not. It's weird to call it a mockumentary, even though
there's probably a better term for it. I don't know. I'm just gonna stick with that for now. But there's probably
I'm with you, Kyle. We're dumb Canadians.
Yeah, we are dumb, without a doubt. Yeah. So the style of it though is interesting because when we talked about the last Exorcism, that's in a way like a mockumentary with comedy, with dealing with
I don't even see comedy in that movie though.
Well, I think there is for sure comedic elements, for sure, definitely, and like
you're also a psychopath, but
that's besides the point. And I remember when we talked about that film, I think actually like those comedic elements and like moments, like lighter moments, kind of worked for it because I liked how there was the goofiness of that film worked because it wasn't 100% taking itself seriously. And I think at the time I thought if something like this was taking itself too seriously, maybe I wouldn't fuck with it as much. But this movie definitely proved me wrong because this is just a serious story. It's a drama for, 80% of it, more or less. There's a lot of dramatic elements in this film that are just pushed in a really interesting way, because the mockumentary style of it at times, when you brought up like being like an expose, Lindsay, you really nailed it there, because that's kind of what works for it. Because it's not like here's the camera crew, and like it's not Blair Witch in that way, where like the camera crew is like how do I put this? Like that point of view isn't like the only view we get. We get like establishing shots, and we get kind of like footage interlaced. We get like a really like full experience, like an archival.
It's like experience. A CBC documentary, or like any type of any type of expose.
And that is absolutely the best approach for this, because then we start to like believe aspects of this film, and like kind of like what you were saying at the top of this topic here, Lindsay, like you still believe it, or like you want it to be true. And I think the film kind of sets that out, and I think it accomplishes that. Like I think that's my assumption. I feel like the filmmakers wanted that to be the response, and I think they were successful.
No, I think they were, because when you sort of start off, you're not just into being you're not just with the family, but you're also with their neighbors, not the Tuohys. I don't think they were ever interviewed, but the work colleagues, the police officer. I love her
investigation.
So much.
And it's a realistic kind of approach to something like that.
Yeah, and you're seeing him, Matt, the son, working at the photo place, and the guy sort of, no, he's really interested in photography, and this is what he does. It just sets up the world so well, and how people respond to people who are in the depths of grief. Like the one woman who said, well, they're not church people, so I didn't know how to comfort them. And it's just got these kind of weird Australianisms that I just giggle at. And they're never the family. They're all kind of people just talking about them. That I think really kind of builds up who this family is, because you get their point of view on the family's point of view of themselves, which ultimately is never actually the reality of what's happening. And then you get these into shots of Alice, the girl who died, kind of performing for the camera. I don't know. I was kind of trying to nail in on what those kind of intercuts were, if they were her kind of being trapped within sort of a photograph, or like she is in the movie, or if these are kind of the lies that she was trying to tell everyone and not give herself out to everyone, if that makes any kind of sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's kind of how I read it, but I could see the other side of the coin, like you were describing.
So it's just this amazing kind of movie, and how it just layers on these little details upon details, like that moment in the beginning where you find out the mother's been going, as she says, I walk around the neighborhood because I don't want to go to sleep. I'm having these terrible dreams. But then you find out that she's been breaking into people's houses, and it's this throwaway line.
God.
Yeah.
Good.
And I was just like, I didn't even catch it the first time. I'm like, she did what now?
It feels like, have you guys seen Abducted in Plain Sight?
No, but I've heard of it.
I know.
Okay, it's an absolute must-watch documentary. But like this, like it's like that doc is so insane that it's not far off from this, and that's it's like it feels just as real as that. And like Abducted in Plain Sight is real. That happened. And the main actor, the main person in it that they talk to, she's in Elijah Wood's Maniac, which we found out because film. Diego watched Abducted in Plain Sight and then decided to randomly watch Maniac, and that like the main person from the documentary was in Maniac getting scalped by Elijah Wood.
Wow.
That is so wild.
What are the chances? That's weird.
Yes.
There's
it's a story about a girl being kidnapped twice by the same guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's nuts. But
one thing I forgot to mention, we were talking about like it being a mockumentary, because I just read that it was a mockumentary, so like I thought maybe there would be comedy. I don't know. And like when their first like couple interviews were happening, I was like, okay, like are we gonna bust into some like Summer Heights High right now? Like what am I expecting? Like I don't. And then when I saw like the grandfather of the family, like Alice's grandfather, who looks like that one like white old man from the meme, like the meme of the white old man like smiling. You guys know what I'm talking about? He looks exactly like that guy. And I was like, and he did crack a joke, and I was like, okay, well, this is a serious matter. I need to, Kyle, please take your hat off in church.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's like not a single shred of comedy in this movie. No. It's just so bleak, and I love it that way, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Ray, I think, is the comic relief person.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, yeah, maybe not totally deliberately, but definitely for to some extent. And I think the way the film wraps itself up is a really good, like, it has a form of closure in a way, like a little bit, you know, especially like with the family, like they decide, like they take that final photo in front of the house of them like wanting to leave it and stuff like that. Like that, I mean, as devastating as a lot of this film was, like that was kind of nice in a way, like a little bit. Like I found that to be like, okay, like this is a family that is, we just watched them go through like so much shit. Like
it's kind of hopeful.
It's a little hopeful. And I mean, I kind of appreciated that because I think without something like that, it may have been a little too heavy-handed, and I think that really worked for it. That being said, that we have some very interesting, I guess, after-credit scenes that are pretty revealing in some ways, which maybe add to the devastation. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because it turns out to be like the creepiest Where's Wally, and I kept trying to find her in it this time around, and I kept missing her. Like I keep forgetting which side of the screen Alice is actually hanging out, but I think she's nearly meant to be nearly every single shot that you just can't see her or something. Yeah, something like that. Like she's always there. She's always in that movie. And the fact that they're always talking about her, the fact that you're seeing photos and everything like that, I think it's just adds to the creepiness because no one's ever really talking to her directly. They're talking about her. And if she's always kind of there huddled in the corner, it's like listening to people talk about you. It's a very strange,
Well, and thematically that makes a lot of sense too, because when people are grieving, like you don't, like you grieve as if the person has never left and they're there with you, right? Like that's where a lot of the trauma comes from. So
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
No, this movie is just incredible. I really, the second watch, I was just kind of falling in love with it, just with the different people, just the way the different characters, you kind of fall in love with this family when they're going through their worst time. And I love the fact that you never really get to know Alice. She's this kind of figure that they're talking about constantly, you see constantly, but you never quite know her. Going back to David Lynch and Mulholland Drive, it's you just never, there's something you can't quite grasp in that movie.
Yeah, it's very eerie.
A pretty interesting double feature would be Lake Mungo and then Still Alice, where I
still haven't seen that.
For Julianne Moore starts to lose her memory. Maybe she's the same Alice.
Yes.
Who knows?
Who knows?
You don't want to watch Still Alice and the father. No, that's a double feature where you're just
maybe do those two and then toss on Blue Valentine on top of it.
Yeah. Maybe those two, and then you take a cold shower. I don't know.
That's a fun.
Dancer in the Dark, just to really
just go all the way.
Oh, and with all that, I think, are you guys ready to wrap this one up tonight? We can all say Lake Mungo is an incredibly creepy, awesome horror movie that everybody should check out. But do you guys have anything else you want to add tonight?
I guess I'll just say that I think like to call this movie unique is kind of an understatement. I think in a lot of ways it could have been completely like very easily cliche and almost like exploitative in some ways, but I don't think at all is like, I don't think this film does that at all. So I would highly recommend it.
Recommend it as well. I think it is a special movie that even if you watch 10 times, you will get something else out of it.
Yeah, I feel like every time this is the second time I watched it, and I already got a couple things out of it that I didn't the first time. And it's such an incredibly layered, creepy ghost story, and it's one of a kind. So I'm super happy that we could finally talk about it on the Terror Table, and I'm so happy that you could be the one to bring it to us, Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here. This was such a good time talking body melt.
No, thank you so much for having me on. This has been an absolute blast. No, I've been listening to you guys for about since Daniel, I think, was on, Daniel Epler, and
shout out
to the great Daniel Epler. And to be asked to come on here was an absolute honor. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, and this isn't going to be the last time. This is definitely going to happen again.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Yes, and if you ever want to Schlock and Awe, just let me know because I'm happy to have any of you on. So it's going to be great.
Oh yeah, Kyle, you got to get on that.
Like Agent Cody Banks 1 and then Agent Cody Banks 2? Well,
yeah, absolutely. That is a definite Schlock and Awe.
And that's also an inside the sequel. Like, I'm just saying, we got to get Kyle Zerbinski and Chris Hurtado in the same room at some point. Like, I want to hear an hour and a half of them trying to fill air.
I'm ready for sleepover.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's such a Kyle movie.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Lindsay, where can people find Schlock and Awe, and where can people follow you?
They can find Schlock and Awe at any of the podcast apps that are around. I'm pretty sure it's all up on there. If you want to follow Schlock and Awe on Twitter, you can at Schlock and Awe 1, and also on Instagram, Schlock and Awe 1.
Awesome.
Yeah. I got one thing I forgot to mention last time we recorded, which I should plug because I might as well. My band Refn recently put out some of our a cassette release of our debut EP, and you can find that at riversleam.bandcamp.com. All the proceeds of the tapes, the white tapes, will be donated to Prairie Harm Reduction, a local safe injection site. So if you feel so inclined, you can head over to pick up a tape. They're pretty cool.
I will definitely check that out. That sounds awesome.
Cool.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of The Terror Table, and we will see you next week. Bye. I think.